Hey, welcome to Realtime Workflows. I'm MX Bell. I worked on Deadpool and Wolverine, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 1917, Hobbs and Shaw, Wheel of Time, Little Mermaid, No Time to Die, tons more. What you're going to get in the channel are my pro tips and how I use Unreal Engine to make films. So let's get started. Let's make some stuff. See you down the road. So we're going to look at some basic terminology first. What's a level and what's a sublevel? These are important things to know, right? A level, as you might have guessed, comes from the video game terminology of a level. So you've all been on a level in a video game. You start a level, you go through it. It's almost like a map. You might call it a map. In fact, Unreal Engine does refer to them sometimes as maps. And that is basically what it is. You can also think of it as an environment if you're coming from VFX, or if you're coming from film, you can think of it as a set. It's where things take place. So a sub-level, though, is slightly different. And so let's just jump into this. I've just downloaded this from Liates. So let's just see what we might do and how we might refine this into sub-levels and why we might do that. The reason that sub-levels exist is because you need to have multiple artists for a level that looks like that, looks as good as that. You need multiple artists working on it. And because you can only have one artist working on one level, if you split it out into sub-levels, it means you can have multiple artists working on it via each sublevel. But more so than that, when you're running things in a production environment, you want to be able to turn certain things off, and the easiest way to do it is to have all those things that you might want to turn off in a sublevel. So let's just check that out. Now, if I was building this from scratch, I would have called this ML for master level rooftop. But actually, because it's got lots of geo, I'm going to call it SL for sublevel. And we'll call it rooftop market geo. Just going to tidy this up real quickly into sublevels. Okay, so that's now a sublevel. So what's our master level going to look like? Well, it needs to be an empty one. A master level is basically an empty level. It's a container for other levels, right? So let's make an empty level. Let's go new level, master level, market. Okay, now if we open that, that's going to be an empty level, right? So we'll save that. Okay, so we're at empty level. Good. So under levels, which you can get to in window levels, but I use this so much, I have it open all the time. First thing I'm going to do is drop my market geo in, and now we're back. Look, I mean, everything's back to normal. Except that we've now got a level. We're starting to have a level structure. Let's see what's in this level. We've got a lot of cameras. We probably don't want them. They're right for going into sublevel. So we knew. So SL for sublevel, cameras. Right, so we'll bring cameras over here. All right, and now it's because it's bold. That's the level that's our active level. In fact, if we went to see save current level, that means that's the level that we're talking about. That current level. And we can grab all these cameras. And if we go to levels, we can right click and go move selected axis to level. We click yes on there. Okay, so now our cameras now live in this sublevel, and we can now turn them off, and now they're no longer in the outliner, and we've cleaned them out. A thing to note about sublevels is they've got this. If they've got this little blue marker around them, if you rendered this now, or even if we just ran the game in simulate mode, you can see there's nothing there. No, there's a reason for that. It's because these levels are set by default to being streamed via Blueprint. Doesn't matter that you don't know what that means. If you don't know what it means, don't worry. We just want them to be either that, which is fine if you don't want them to load, which for the cameras actually I probably don't. I'm not going to use them. But for the geo, I want it to be always loaded. When you come to render your shots, it's going to run the game, which is what that green button at the top does. It runs the game. So if ever you want to check what it's going to look like when it renders, that's the best way to do it, is run that in simulate mode and see what it looks like. If there's ever anything missing or anything weird, usually a good way to check it is to run it in simulate mode first. So you could do this with a bunch of stuff, but let's just see what the nighttime sky is. Look, see that nighttime sky? What's that? Sky sphere, exponential height fog. I would tend to put this stuff into this lighting. I would tend to put that into a sublevel as well. Okay, so that's that. So you can think of levels as layers, if you like, if it makes it easier. Sublevels can be thought of as layers, and each layer can be kind of loaded or not loaded. and each layer could be given to an artist to work on, and then checked back in and made whole again inside the master level. It's a really good way of working, and I use it by default. At the very least, I would tend to have a master level. I would have a level for my geometry. I would a level for any characters that are going to be in anything that's going to be in every shot. You could sort of put in the level. It makes it easier. Metahumans, right? If you're using metahumans, they're super heavy to load in and out if you're using them in each shot. Whereas if you have them in a level, a sub-level, and you allow your level sequences to reference them, which is something we'll get to in a later video, it means that because they stay loaded, they're just moving position instead of loading and unloading each time a shot changes, each cut. It's a really good way of working. So you do want to be using sublevels. Again, I would recommend even if it's just those basic few there, just for geometry, just for lights, especially daylight. If you're going to change the lighting setup, daylight, nighttime light, things like that. Then it's a flick of a switch and you've changed it. It is slightly more complicated if you want to change the nighttime level. It can be, but we can go through that another time. So yeah, while that's saving, I think that's it. Enough said on levels and sublevels. Let's get to something else.